My name is Lauren. I'm 33. I didn't want my identity to be the smoking mom. My first experience with Juul, I do remember being like, this is good. It's like a cigarette, but not. I don't miss smoking at all. Like, I can officially say it grosses me out.
Juul is the tobacco alternative that delivers nicotine satisfaction without cigarette ash or lingering odor. Make the switch at JUUL.com/sports.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
All my emotion came out at one time.
You told Scott Layton, you effing need me.
Was I brutally honest? Yes.
I don't think this will end well at all.
Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov will be temporarily suspended.
It's the fight business, you know? It's the fight game.
He shouldn't be anywhere near a playoff game. He's absolutely terrible.
Throw the ball all over the place, you see.
The official Nike athlete.
Well, that chill you feel, that's the cold shoulder going around the sports landscape these days. Welcome to the Friday Four on Outside the Lines. I'm Ryan Smith in for Bob Lee. Well, today is International Moment of Frustration Scream Day, if you can believe it. And this week, everyone seems like was getting a head start. We've got the Final Four in baseball after a contentious Yanks-Sox series. The melee between McGregor and Khabib continues to boil over. And then Jimmy Butler out doing everything with that practice tirade for the ages. We're going to get into all of that in the next half hour. But first, the introductions. Clinton Yates always likes to mix it up, of course, especially when teams don't get with the times. We got a rookie in our midst. Chiney Ogwumike is here in the Friday Four debut, out to catch villains that they're going to steal trophies,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, more on that in a minute. And Jeremy Rothschild's chap.
Look at the scarf.
With this scarf.
Look at the scarf. So classy.
Boot de souffle.
Who left his corncob pipe at home. His vagabond shoes are longing to stay right here, though.
We're going to get to that.
That's right. We're going to get to that. How about that? But let's begin at practice. Not a game. Practice.
Jimmy Butler always comes back to Philly.
Jimmy Butler took over the NBA this week with some moves that could either be seen as a masterstroke designed to get him traded or his desire to win boiling over. After an expletive-laced tirade at practice on Wednesday, directed at his teammates, the coaches, even the GM, practically everyone in the gym, he sat down with Rachel Nichols to vent his frustrations.
So all my emotion came out at one time. Was it the right way to do it? No. But I can't control that when I'm out there competing. But I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna say no names, but I'm gonna be honest. If your number one priority isn't winning, and people can tell, that's the battle. Now there's a problem between people because that guy's number one priority is winning. That guy's isn't. Of course they're gonna clash. I'm doing it for the team. Are you? Exactly. So that's where the disconnect is. It's about saying, we need you. We want you here. We can't do this without you. And that was the disconnect all year long.
And then the plot thickened. Practice was canceled the next day, and now this. Butler did not accompany the team to their preseason matchup in Milwaukee. They're saying he's working on his conditioning back in Minnesota, and as Jeremy scoffs, and on whether he'll be with the team on opening night. Coach Thibodeau, not Thibodeau, called the situation fluid. And by the way, just for fun, what do you think Karl Anthony Towns thinks about the Butler Chronicles?
What happened yesterday, if anything?
I think the only thing that needs to be clarified is we're excited to pick up a basketball today here in Milwaukee.
How are you dealing with this?
Like I said, we're just happy that we get to play basketball tonight here in Milwaukee.
Are you guys getting tired of having to answer questions about this? I mean, the look says it all right now.
Are you tired of hearing me say I want to play Boston basketball today here in Milwaukee?
Yeah, it's getting interesting in the NBA, and it's just the preseason. That's what I love.
I always love the "Are you sick of this question?" question.
Yeah. Because they know the answer, they just can't say.
Exactly. But this is, look, Jimmy Butler has stirred up the entire league. And Chiney, I got to come to you because do you think that this was planned? Do you think that it's passion? And what do you think about the move in general?
So this is it. It's one of those situations. It's not what you said, but how you said it. And clearly he was coming at guys in practice. There's a lot of disconnects. But I have personally played with people that go off in practice and have expressed their feelings, and they've had things that are out of their control. Granted, we found peaceful resolutions, and there's time. The issue here is that there's no time. The season is what? 3 days away. So he sort of backed himself in a corner, Jimmy Butler has. But regardless, I believe, there's an issue with people going off in practice and being wrong. He's right. He's the best player on that team. He's the most competitive, and he sets over the winning balance. He understands his value. He just wants his value elsewhere.
What's the difference between him and Kobe? Remember Kobe used to go off on guys?
Number one, rings, and number two, just general overall talent. There's two things at play here. First of all, Jimmy Butler is a great player, but Jimmy Butler ain't that good. I mean, Jimmy Butler is not a Hall of Famer. And so to walk in and act as if you're necessarily... No.
That's a great point.
Jimmy Butler is an excellent basketball player, and that is the top end, and that's fine. But here's the thing. You don't go to practice and dominate because you paint yourself into the corner that's the exact opposite of what you want. They need you, which is why they're not going to deal you. And if you go off against everybody, nobody's going to want to trade for you because, you might blow things up if you don't like them.
Or is he making it so uncomfortable that you just can't have him there?
Story, but he's so much of a competitor, he's not going to not play if, according to him, he wants to win. So he messed himself up there and defied his own logic. It wasn't very smart.
Right, and I think one of the interesting things here is how the NBA, and there was an interesting story about this in the Wall Street Journal last week, is because... Why are you laughing? Are you laughing at the scarf?
No, it's a scarf. It totally is a scarf. I really can't take you serious, but I'm taking you serious.
Go on.
I'm trying my best.
I'm throwing it away.
You saw my...
So my point is,
fired up.
There was a story in the Journal, and it's right, how the NBA is becoming more like the English Premier League specifically, and international soccer leagues in general, in the sense that contracts, and I think the word was used, are more than legal agreements now. They're suggestions. The idea that you've got a contract, but that doesn't mean that you're not in a position anymore to negotiate your way out of it.
Right.
And so, look, we've seen this before in sports. We saw it with Kareem in the 70s, and we saw it with John Elway in the 80s, and we saw it with Eli Manning insisting on not going to where they were going to be drafted with the latter two cases. The difference with Elway and with Kareem and with with Elway and with Manning and Eric Lindros is those guys weren't under contract to anybody when they were demanding to go somewhere else. Right. And so you've got a situation now where the NBA is evolving. It's also with the Leonard situation where the players are trying to grab control over where they're playing in a way that we haven't seen before.
Well, if you believe what Jimmy Butler had to say, he said that he told the coaching staff and everyone else that he wanted out a couple days after the season, and nothing's happening. Obviously, Minnesota's going to try to get more than pennies on the dollar, which is what they're getting offered right now. But when you look at this, I wonder if this is a bit of a masterstroke. Now, bear with me on this. There was no way he was getting out of Minnesota because nobody's given them value. So what can he do? He can either make it extremely uncomfortable to play with him, or he can stay, but his voice controls because everybody else is afraid that he's going to go off again if he isn't placated in some way. So now the team revolves around him, and I wonder if he was thinking, this is the best that I can do.
And he's also getting exactly what he wants, which is all this attention and everybody talking about it.
I don't think it was. I just don't think that strategically, it seems like he could have done one or the other and didn't have to do both in order to get what he wanted.
I don't think this makes him less attractive. I think this is positive passion because it's all about his competitive instinct, and he wants to be somewhere where he can be successful. That overall environment in the locker room looks a little bit toxic.
And what do NBA
not just
teams?
Money.
Not just money.
What do NBA teams want more than anything? Superstars. And he qualifies. Right now, he does.
Thank you.
You might not like it, but he qualifies as one.
I didn't want to cut you off. Top three two-way players.
Superstar.
He plays both.
That doesn't make him a superstar.
Clinton and I have.
All right. We got to get on. We have a little bit more time. We have to get on to our other big story. We'll continue this debate. But our other big story is Khabib McGregor. This story dominated sports over the weekend. If you recall, there was the 4-round fight that Khabib won. And then afterwards, the melee in the ring. As a result, seems like the sport's been going haywire. We've got 2 suspensions, one for McGregor, one for Khabib, both out 10 days by the Nevada Athletic Commission. Not only that, McGregor has been suspended for 30 days.
By the way, they're not fighting in the
They're not fighting in this time.
Ooh, that's a tough suspension. Now there's a hearing on October 24th. And by the way, Khabib, who also met with Putin, got the congratulations there, has now said that because the UFC has said the guys who jumped in the ring won't fight anymore, that he won't fight anymore in the UFC. Jeremy, all this turmoil, is it good for the UFC?
Yes, I think it is. It's very good for UFC. Whenever we're talking about it, still 6 days after a pay-per-view event, but it was good even before the melee because at that point they had the biggest buy in the history of the sport. UFC 229, the biggest pay-per-view event ever. That's mostly about Conor McGregor. And interestingly, in terms of the business of what's going on, not only in mixed martial arts, but beyond, we're talking about 20% of those buys were for streaming.
That's amazing.
We're talking about the future. And so this fight is in many ways a watershed. And what's interesting as well is that although Conor McGregor lost, all the experts, and I'm certainly not one of the MMA experts, but all the experts will tell you that his brand is not diminished. His appeal is not diminished. And he now occupies a place in MMA that I think is analogous to what Jack Dempsey was in prize fighting almost 100 years ago, where the sport was about him growing it at a time when it's in basically like the third decade of its existence. I'm talking about Marquis of Queensberry rules and prize fighting. And no matter what he does in the ring or out of the ring, he is the center of attention.
And, just briefly, what you said, I'm going to sum it up into one sentence. Everyone knew Conor McGregor before the fight. Now you have two people you know. You know Nurmagomedov as well. So that's a win for the sport overall.
That was impressive, even attempting to say the last name.
Sum up Nurmagomedov's sentence as a hero on this show.
There you go. I told you, I'm his millennial translator.
I just don't think that what you want out of this sport is a guy who is coming across as even more of a jerk and possibly racist and insensitive to a lot of things being your main guy. If Dana White wants to, tie himself to Conor McGregor, so be it. Plenty of people are going to pop out, as many as are popping in.
Yeah, you wonder, hitching your wagon to this?
Yeah.
You wonder what you get. All right, well, coming up, a day we can all get behind, and a team villain who just doesn't seem to get it. You're going to explain, right? I want that scarf.
Wait, is that me?
He is not a superstar.
Cold. I might need it.
He's not a superstar.
I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it back. I'm getting it back.
People don't necessarily know who Jimmy Butler is.
If you're a smoker, switching isn't easy. You've tried vapes and e-cigs. They just didn't deliver the satisfaction you expected. But Juul is different. It's not an e-cigarette. It's a vapor product that actually satisfies. Plus, Juul is simple to use, and there's no cigarette ash and no lingering odor. As a smoker, you expect a certain nicotine experience, right? Juul delivers. Give Juul a try. Check out JUUL.com/sports. Switch and be satisfied. Yes, you can do both. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Never has a group ever been so fired up about a player as we are about Jimmy Butler.
Tom Ball,
top 15 player. Thank you.
Yes, top 15.
All right, let's get
in the league.
Oh my God, let's get to underreported stories. All right, I'll lead it off. The NFL a couple of years ago, the NFL had a real image problem. There were a lot of players who were getting arrested. Domestic violence was an issue. Drunk driving was an issue. Well, there was a study that came out from the USA Today this week that said arrest and citations have been down, especially since the time of that infamous Ray Rice video. Take a look. We'll show it to you. This is where it's been over the last couple of years. 71 arrests and citations back in 2006, 30 at this point this year. Domestic violence cases are down. Also, drunk driving cases are down. And part of this is, we don't know exactly why, but there have been rule changes in the NFL, a lot more stricter penalties. Yep. So in many ways, this is an interesting point for the NFL. They've taken a lot of hits on a lot of different areas. But
let's give them some credit.
Yes, this is an area that was a really rough one for them. They have made changes in the league, and it seems to be working out.
And if the numbers were up as much as they are down, trust me, people would be criticizing.
That's exactly right. Okay, Chiney.
Yeah, no, I think the NFL is the league that has to go through it to get to it, and they finally got to it. They ran into a wall, realized that they need to have more educational for domestic situations programs. Mental illness is now not being as stigmatized as it was before. That helps the players. And then also, like you mentioned, the suspensions. They've increased the penalties, so now your offense is not 3-game suspension. It's probably 6. That affects your coin.
It's so much better. But I have to ask you, you have a day in mind that is one of your underreported stories, right?
Yeah, so yesterday was the International Day of the Girl, and it actually made me realize that there's so many great sports campaigns that skew towards women right now. And I was actually speaking on a panel with Stephanie McMahon, and they have WWE Evolution, which is coming up, which is an all-women's pay-per-view event, which is fantastic.
First timer.
Yeah, first time, and it's huge. I'm going to attend. I'm excited for that. Never been to a WWE event before. It's different. But everyone, it's a cult. Like, everyone goes hard for it. The NBA just came out with their Her Time to Play, which is a huge campaign to try to get girls from age 17 to 14 to play. And then FIFA, this one's really great. I mean, even though FIFA needs to, back up what they say, they have a goal of having 60 million women playing their sport, soccer, which is huge. They've also want 1/3 of its representation on committees to be women. And they've also, number one, increased the prize money. They're playing us to increase the prize money. So International Day of the Girl is not just for girls everywhere, but it's also pushing girls to play sports.
A great day indeed. You're talking about you've got an underreported story, a coach, a very familiar name to me.
Tex Winter. A lot of people know him. He is a basketball Hall of Famer, triangle offense inventor. Literally wrote the book on how this offense basically redefined basketball for many decades. Not just the Chicago Bulls, where he was a longtime assistant, where Phil Jackson became, sort of famous off of that, but also for UConn women's basketball. Gino Auriemma very famously said,
Stanford women's basketball. Number one.
Said, this is how we play. And Tex passed. He was 96 years old. You see him right there in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. And I feel like people just don't really realize who he was to the game.